When I first came to ASU, I had a vision of who I thought we could be. To consistently foster high standards and win championships. To be a Sun Devil means being all in, all out, all the time. To be a Sun Devil means having each other's back no matter what. And to be a Sun Devil means having fun. Ultimately, we want our hard work to result in Final Fours and national championships. We've been consistently making deep runs in the NCAA tournament. With the right people and the right values, I knew we could make this happen. We're not done! But we're not done yet. The future is now.
It's been 7 long months since the Lady Devils last took the court in the first round of the 2020 Pac-12 Women's Basketball Tournament, where the team was eliminated against Cal. Little did we know that would be the last game of the season due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but that was then, and this is now. And after an extended long hiatus, we can say there will be women's basketball today in Tempe. Welcome to the Pac-12 pregame show on Pac-12 Plus. I'm Caleb Bushy, being joined here by Jude Binkley. The Lady Devils tip off a brand new season less than 30 minutes now as they get ready to take on the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks.
And the Sun Devils will have many fresh faces this season, with 7 new names on the roster, 6 of them being freshmen. One thing that remains constant, though, is Charlie Turner-Thorne, who's entering her 24th year as the Devils head coach. She's helped get the Devils to 6 straight NCAA tournaments and brought in a highly ranked recruiting class for this year, which should give us a very entertaining season, which will be tipping off very, very soon.
But right now, let's get into our top 5 returners of the season, starting with SFA. Jude, what do you got?
Well, head coach Mark Kellogg and the Lady Jacks were on top of the Southland Conference poll for this preseason, and there's good reason for that. Ayanna Johnson, a very productive player and scorer, 11 double-doubles last season, also a huge defensive presence, and was a preseason pick for the Southland All-Conference first team. She'll be alongside Stephanie Vassir, another member of that preseason Southland All-Conference first team. Averaged 13.3 points last season, up there leading in scoring with Johnson. Great vision, great basketball IQ, led the squad in assists and steals last season. Marissa Barnfield, the guard, who's been a great three-point shooter, 36% shooting from beyond the arc. Zaya Nugent, sophomore, who had a breakout freshman year last season, part of that conference's second team all-conference. And then rounding it off with Alyssa Mayfield, the senior guard, very solid rebounder, and she's put in quite a few double-digit performances last season.
Wow, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to be able to top that for the top 5 returners for ASU, but let's get into it. And Jude, you can help me out if you want. A lot of star players gone, including Riley Richardson, Jamie Rudin, and Kiara Russell. So not a lot of great returners here, but they're now the leaders of this team. Some of them, Jade Van Hefty, Tanya Hansen, Ebony Walker, Sydney Caldwell, and Brianna Sanders. And of course, 7 new faces to this ASU team joining this lineup. This is basically a brand new team.
Absolutely, and I think we'll see Charlie Turner-Thorne get kind of experimental, especially in the beginning of the season, trying some new lineups, seeing what the chemistry is like with the new players and how that all kind of molds together. There's going to be a lot to make up from last year, but I think with the talent that she's brought in and some of these returning players, I think the Sun Devils can absolutely do it.
I think they can do it too. It's going to be a challenge, but this is basically like hitting the reset button after what happened to them in the tournament. Now they got a whole new season ahead with a whole new team.
Absolutely. And with Pac-12 play back in full swing, the Sun Devils are giving us plenty to be thankful for this week with a stacked slate of games. And here's Ray Belcora with more on what to watch for.
After a disappointing first 4 games that featured 2 losses to Michigan and a loss and a tie to Michigan State, the Sun Devil hockey team will look to pick up their first victory of the season this weekend in Madison, Wisconsin. The 2-2 Wisconsin Badgers started their season with a pair of wins over Notre Dame, but like Arizona State, struggled and got swept by Michigan. This season was always going to be an uphill battle for ASU head coach Greg Powers' squad, as the team is playing a challenging Big Ten schedule with all 28 games on the road. Even with the schedule stacked against them, the Sun Devils still have high expectations for this season. Game 1 against Wisconsin is set for Saturday at 6 p.m., with Game 2 Sunday at 3 p.m. In basketball news, ASU will take on Rhode Island today in the Mohegan Sun tournament after Baylor backed out due to their head coach testing positive for coronavirus. If the Sun Devils are victorious tonight, they will likely take on Villanova tomorrow in the tournament championship. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ray. And for more of his content, you can check out Inferno Intel. Now, as we count down the minutes until the start of a new season of Sun Devil Hoops, let's take some time to look back on how last year ended for ASU. Without March Madness, the season was cut short and the Devils' final appearance came in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas, where they faced off against the Cal Golden Bears. Let's take it to the highlights. And the Sun Devils coming in as the number 5 seed opening up the tournament against Cal, senior Riley Richardson came out of the gates on fire, really showcasing her range from beyond the arc. And a little pass there to Jatavia Tapley behind the back, dishes it for the layup to put the Sun Devils up early. Top of the key as seconds ticking down. And how about this at the buzzer? Off balance, offhanded shot, banks it in from long range. Let's see that again. Riley Richardson with a massive first quarter. But the Bears have range too. Leonie McIntosh from the corner gets the shot off to close in on the well-established Sun Devil lead in the second. And Richardson would get the ball back with a great pass to Jatavia Tapley under the basket. The connections between the duo of seniors who we saw so much of last year, and the benches loved it. McIntosh drives in, almost gets it, but isn't quite able to, but the Bears are there for the offensive rebound and the second chance points. Now, turnovers were devastating for ASU this game as a quick steal leads to a three-pointer for Kaylin Crocker to put the Bears up late in the third quarter, part of a 20-0 run that they went on. Now, Jalen Brown with the range keeps the momentum going for the Bears with a monster shot in the fourth quarter. The bench is loving it. Now, a long possession here with Kaylin Crocker up at the top. Seconds ticking down, and she'll beat the buzzer with a step-back three over the Devils as the Bears are lighting it up from long range this game. One-score game and a strange sequence here as we near the final minute of the game. It's a tight defense. Kaylin Crocker with it, and an elbow will get extended. She'll miss the shot here, and they'll go back and review it after the rebound. They later on call it an intentional foul, and Bears coach Sharman Smith says, "What is going on?" Final seconds, Richardson gets a shot off, can't make it. She will get a second chance though, but it doesn't go in. And the Bears come up with the ball, and that will seal the game. Cal wins it 71-67, the final from Sin City, as the Sun Devils were sent home in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. Sun Devils were up for a large amount of this game, but a 20-0 run in the third quarter for the Golden Bears put them in the driver's seat to pull off the upset. Kaylin Crocker and Richardson really shooting a lot that game. But that will end the Sun Devils season early. And, you wonder what if that March Madness game, if March Madness would have happened.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I guess we'll never know how far they would have gotten. They had a promising, at least hope, to get a pretty good spot in the NCAA tournaments. Well, we are still minutes away from tip-off, so we're going to head to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a trip down memory lane and talk with former ASU in-game hosts Troy Lynch and Scotty Gange on what they think the future holds for in-game hosting and the upcoming basketball season. Plus, Caleb and Jude give their final predictions for today's game. Next on the Pac-12 pregame show.
Since I was little, I thought about discovering life on other planets, but that seemed so impossible. When I got to ASU, I met Professor Lindy. She's one of the first women to ever lead a NASA deep space mission. I don't even know if I would have applied for the internships at NASA, but then Lindy told me to go for it, so I did, and I got in. ASU really did help me to go after my dreams.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water.
Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
Welcome back to the Pac-12 pregame show. And now into a special feature. For years at Desert Financial Arena, when the TV cameras go off to commercial, when a basketball game is in a timeout, the in-game hosts take over the court to entertain the crowd with events like Name That Tune, the Dance Cam, and even the Ghost Pepper Challenge. Former in-game hosts Troy Lynch and Scotty Gange have done it all. But now, due to the pandemic, there will be no crowds at the arena, which means there will be no in-game host. I got a chance to talk with both Troy and Scotty to get their opinions on how in-game hosting will change with ASU basketball home games going forward. And also, while we're at it, take a trip down memory lane.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, begin.
When the TV broadcast goes to commercial, the in-game hosts take over the court to keep the crowd busy while the game is on pause. Former ASU Cronkite students Troy Lynch and Scotty Gange have both taken the role of being the in-game host for both men's and women's basketball games at Desert Financial Arena.
My favorite part is seeing, these little kids, they're super nervous at first. I'm hyping them up, and then they do it, and then they're just so excited to be a part of it, and then you give them a prize, and it's just they're going to remember that forever, and you got to give them that. Being able to interact with the fans and making the fan experience even better than it is just going to a football game.
I think my favorite part of all of it was every year the women's basketball team, they have a Sparky's Kids to College Day where it's elementary school students from across the valley come on a Friday, and the game's at 11 in the morning. And in that game, it's different than all the others because a lot of the basketball games, it's the same kind of games we play with the same sponsors, but that game we go all out.
Kind of posing a question to both of you from your past time in-game hosting. Would you guys ever want to pursue it again in the future? I mean, I know, Troy, you've done some with Air Force football.
100%. I love in-game hosting. I love my job, but I don't think there's a more fun job in broadcasting than in-game hosting. The environment, the fans, and just hyping people up and giving people just making their fan experience that much better and making a kid's day that's something that they'll last forever. I would 100% do it again.
Yeah, I'm with Troy. I mean, it was so fun. People always ask me, what was your favorite part of school, of journalism, all that? I'm without a doubt, it was hosting those games. Football, basketball, baseball, all of them was all fun. And also, and I think Troy can agree, it just helps you so much, with not only broadcasting, but just with talking to people and being a personable person, because it's if you can be talking to a full arena of people and not totally mess up. We both messed up a number of times, at least I did. I don't know about Troy, but not totally mess up, then you'll be okay with just talking to people individually too. So that part was huge. But yeah, I agree with Troy. If an opportunity comes where I get to do that again, I would 1,000% do it.
So Troy, not sure if you knew if Scotty was going to be the next host or not, or if he was even being considered, but was there ever kind of a passing of the torch kind of thing between you and him?
I remember him coming up to me now, just kind of asking for some advice and stuff like that. But I knew Scotty was going to be, he was going to be fine all along. And as soon as I left and I knew it's okay, who's going to fill it? The answer was obvious. It was you, Scotty, the entire time. And I went up to my boss and I'm like, it should be nobody else but Scotty Gange.
I watched Troy do it. I was really, I wouldn't say I was really confident, but I just really wanted to do it. And so I was with my grandma and grandpa freshman year, and I pointed out, I'm look at that. I hope I get to do that. I'm actually going to do it for smaller sports. And I actually remember she looked at me, she goes, what, a cheerleader? I'm no, not a cheerleader. It's way cooler than that.
What?
But even
you get to do your hits right next to the cheerleaders though.
But I just remember I was just so excited to do it. And then also because Troy did it and he was I always thought he was so cool. I'm that's so cool that he does that. And I can do it maybe. And I did, and once I got it, I was Troy isn't cool at all. Wow.
Do you think there should be in-game hosts for players that want to seem some kind of normalcy?
I mean, if the players want it, then I don't see why not. But at the same time, if there are no fans, there's really no point for an in-game host because all your job is to basically
hype up the fans, interact with the fans, do games with the fans. And so if there are no fans, I'm not even sure, like, if you were to do the games, what you would really do, because then you'd be like, you know, doing a t-shirt toss to nobody, you know, to cardboard cutouts, which is just like, okay.
I don't know if there should be, you know, just because I had the position and I thought it was so much fun. I hope somebody else can have it. It obviously won't be the same. It won't be going out to center court with a t-shirt and saying, get up, stay on your feet, wave your arms, want to go crazy, get a free t-shirt, and the place goes bananas. But I think it'd be cool to still have a in-game host, and even if it's a small crowd, kind of do little updates and stuff like that, because it would still make it seem like a game day atmosphere. And I know all these different stadiums and all sports are filtering in fan noise, and so if you can get somebody on the big screen, just one extra person.
Reporting for Pac-12 Plus, I'm Caleb Bushy. Well, Jude, like I mentioned, ASU is losing a bunch of star players that unfortunately didn't get to have any closure on their season due to the COVID-19 pandemic shutting down, was it after their last game in the Pac-12 tournament? But now let's take a look at some of those seniors we lost, and we got 4 of them right here for you. One of them, Robbie Ryan, Riley Richardson, Jatavia Tapley, and Jamie Rudin. Those were all good players that were in at least the top 10 range when it came to the season stats individually. But of course, I know you've got opinions of your own. Kiara Russell, which is now in the graphic, is also another star player. I mean, what do you think?
I was about to say, throw in Kiara Russell too. All those players, with the exception of Jatavia Tapley, spent 4 years on this team. They were very established with Charlie Turner Thorne. Of course, the one exception, Jatavia Tapley, who came here after 3 years with USC. It will be a lot, and I think the Sun Devils will take some time to kind of get back into the groove of things and establish these younger players. But I think they'll be able to do it. They've got a lot of young talent, a great recruiting class. Some places have ranked them as high as top 10 for this year alone. But think about like Jaden Simmons and Sydney Erikstrup in that backcourt, maybe taking over a leadership position that Riley Richardson will be leaving, you know, being really that floor general. And, you know, we talked about it at the top of the show too, the all-time assist leader for ASU. There is a lot of leadership, but I think that this team does have the players who will be able to step up and fill that void this year.
If you had to pick just one player out of all those star players that are gone now, who would you choose? And I'll get to mine, of course, after yours.
Who I'd rather have on the team, or rather keep?
If you had to keep one.
I would say Riley Richardson, because of her leadership and how established she was with this team, and, you know, not just her scoring potential. We saw in the highlights earlier that she really knows how to hit that 3-ball, but her vision on the court and abilities to rebound, just everything she's done on the court as a leader off the court as well.
Gosh, you know, you're stealing my answer. But you know what answer you're not going to steal? My final game predictions. And we're going to get into that right now as we get into the last few minutes of our pregame show. The final predictions. Jude, let's have you go first since you've gone first like every other segment. But what's going to be the final score?
We're doing a final score?
Yes. Or actually, if you want to predict if they go a certain point margin like ASU over 10 or 20, you can do that as well.
I think ASU around that range is very likely. I wouldn't count out this SF Austin team. They are, in my opinion, the best in their conference. And ASU, I think it will take some games to establish these younger talents. But ASU, their class, their freshmen, their new talent, and their returning faces as well is just great. And especially in this Pac-12 conference, you have to be able to compete. And I think they will this year. And I think because of that, you know, they can even very easily make it back into March Madness this season.
I think so too. I mean, it is a brand new identity team, and I think this is kind of going to be the preseason game and kind of set the tone for what this whole season could look like, because they got a lot of new faces. 7 of them, I believe, are freshmen, and I think there's only like 2 or 3 seniors on the team this year. So it's going to be different. They have quite a bunch of time to get everything to do to get this team successful. If it's not this year, then next year. So, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. I am going to predict, like I said, it's going to be close. This is just the first game. I think they're going to win by at least 15 to 20. I mean, the SFA should be an easy team to beat. I wouldn't be shocked, but like I said, this is a new team, and this is the first game, and especially with COVID-19 protocols, they probably didn't have much time to practice either.
Absolutely, so, yeah. Looking for a good start to this very strange season already, even though we're not that many games. We're just starting now. But that will do it for our Pac-12 pregame show. Tip-off is coming up soon. For our producer, Ike Everard and Caleb Bushy alongside me at the desk, I'm Jude Binkley. Thank you for watching. Now let's send you to Desert Financial Arena, where Gareth Kwok and Arsenio Hawkins are on the call. Enjoy the game.